hard at times, he could do no better than fourth on the grid for his most important race of the year in his German homeland. Two scarlet Ferraris up front on the grid then, a rich reward for ceaseless effort, ahead of the championship leaders Michael Schumacher and Damon Hill. The two Tyrrell Yamahas of Ukyo Katayama and Mark Blundell sandwich David Coulthard's Williams ahead of Häkkinen's McLaren, Prince and Sauber and Irvine's Jordan. Martin Brundle is 13th for McLaren and Johnny Herbert 15th for Lotus, followed by the footwork Fords of Gianni Morbidelli and Christian Fittipaldi. 26 starters for 45 very hot, very grueling, very fast laps of Hockenheim, with the Simtech Fords of David Brabham and Jean-Marc Gounon on the back row. Between 4 and 7 seconds after the red, the green will go and the German Grand Prix will be on. It's on! Berger looks as though he's hanging fire a bit. And there's straight into the wall. The race will be stopped. Oh, look at that. There are cars all over the place. And that is Mika Häkkinen again. I say again. And that is Mark Blundell. Oh, my goodness. Mark Blundell and Mika Häkkinen straight out. The others don't know. There's a car with the wing adrift. Jorna Lacey slowing down. That is Andrea de Cesaris in the Sauber Mercedes. And the German Grand Prix has got off to a very bad start indeed. That is one of the Minardis that's gone into the pit wall. I didn't see whether it was Pierluigi Martini or Michele Alboreto, but my guess is that there are at least 5 cars involved in that start line incident for the German Grand Prix. And the spare car, that's Jean Todt, the boss of Ferrari. He's telling the Ferrari mechanics to get the spare car ready. That is one of the Jordans in the background, and I'm guessing that that's Blundell's Tyrrell Yamaha, because I can't see the number or any identification mark. But meantime, Gerhard Berger, not knowing, of course, is significantly leading Michael Schumacher. They won't have seen any flags yet. And Katayama is ahead of Damon Hill. This is all a bit academic because I have little doubt that the race will be stopped. There are officials all over the starting grid area, and there is still the Minardi. Now, it's conceivable that the safety car will go out. You've seen Damon Hill slow right down there. And coming through to complete the first lap. Now, let's see what happens. Well, Gerhard Berger goes through at undiminished speed, and the yellow flags, now the yellow flags are being waved. That means the race is not being stopped. So it's a race between Michael Schumacher in second place, Gerhard Berger. Katayama is behind in third place. Neither of the two Williams have appeared as yet, and this is very bad news. And there's a Williams into the pits as I talk to you. It's David Coulthard has pulled into the pits. There's the proof. And I noticed that one of the Williams has got a bent front wing, and that is him. So the German Grand Prix in some ways is almost over before it begins, and Damon Hill in the background. So that's the second Williams in, and their race is effectively run because the others are streaming round. Coulthard is still in the pits. That is the McLaren of Mika Häkkinen. And to the delight of the German fans here, it is the Austrian hero Gerhard Berger and their German hero Michael Schumacher who are leading on lap 2, both of them well ahead of Ukyo Katayama in the Tyrrell Yamaha, 4.5 seconds in fact at the end of the first lap. And if the Ferrari is not reliable, then Schumacher is already within sight of another Grand Prix victory, and the best of all for him, because as I've said before, it is on his home circuit. He's right up behind Gerhard Berger now, trying to look for a way through on lap 2. And at the end of lap 1, as they come into the stadium, they're incidentally pulling de Cesaris' Sauber Mercedes off in front of me. The German flags, a forest of them all round Hockenheim, waving for Schumacher, giving him extra adrenaline, giving him extra speed, coming through to complete lap 2.
Well, what this is the most extraordinary start to a Grand Prix, to have what looks like about 12 cars eliminated. There are Schumacher right with Gerhard Berger there. 12 cars eliminated on that first lap chaos. I must admit, I thought it was inevitable that the red flag would come out, and the marshals of worked with tremendous speed. They've cleared up most of the debris already, and we've just seen waved yellows all the way around, of course, the incident area here along the main start-finish straight. So we're left here with a real battle. The front runners here, Berger, Schumacher and Katayama, with Schumacher all over the back of Gerhard Berger at the moment. But what a tremendous shame. There's Damon Hill there. We don't know what his problem is, but clearly he's effectively out of the race.
David Coulthard has rejoined. Damon Hill, a potential winner, not anymore. Schumacher tucked up right underneath the rear wing of Gerhard Berger's Ferrari. And here's news that we haven't had in a Grand Prix this year and for a very long time. It is a Ligier Renault in 4th position. The Frenchman, Olivier Panis. Incidentally, Jean Alesi appears to be out of the race. We know Hakkinen is. We know Blundell is. We know Pierluigi Martini is. And on lap 3, as you look down at the stadium, Berger leads, and that's Damon Hill rejoining the race. Well down, of course, some 2 laps down now.
And now here's the start. This is what we want to see. Katayama flicks out. Now look 2/3 of the way down the back. Look off to your right. We should expect to see a Minardi slicing through. There it is, coming across there. Minardi, and it's difficult to see from where we are, but 4 cars out there. Now there's Hakkinen. Hakkinen comes across to the right of your picture. Hakkinen is out. Blundell gets taken out. Now here we go again, and looks. Now that was Now that looked like maybe Coulthard. That's where Coulthard lost his wing. Coulthard touched Hakkinen on the way into this. Have another look. Let's look at the front. The back we can't see. Hakkinen gets very crossed up. Look, Hakkinen on the left of your picture, about 3 rows back. Forget what's behind that, but look at Hakkinen down the left-hand side. Coulthard to his left. Hakkinen moves across. Well, I'm afraid Hakkinen, a little bit like at Monaco, Hakkinen, I believe he moved across to the left. He tried to take a slightly wider entry to the first corner. He didn't make it because Coulthard was there. Coulthard lost his wing. Hakkinen lost his race. I'm afraid I think that Hakkinen should have known at that point that Coulthard was alongside, because as soon as he moved to the left, he touched. So clearly Coulthard did not actually drive into the back of Hakkinen there.
So now let's start looking at what might happen ahead. You can see how close Schumacher is to Berger. You can see how hard the young German is trying to get past the Austrian in front of him. Now, we imagine that it's quite likely that Gerhard Berger will come in for 2 tire stops. It's quite possible that Michael Schumacher will do the same thing. And that is Ukyo Katayama. He was in 3rd position. He spun to a standstill. Has he affected the suspension at all? Is he going to be able to get out of the gravel trap because he tried to drive through it? You're with him now. And that will mean that Olivier Panis will come up to 3rd position. It will almost certainly mean that Eric Bernard will come up into 4th position, and still through the heat haze towards us at some 200 miles an hour on the 7th lap out of 45, Gerhard Berger quite calmly looking in his mirror. What happened to Damon Hill when he came into the pits in the Williams? What happened to David Coulthard? Tony Jardine was there. He can tell us.
Obviously, it was mayhem for the Williams team and a great deal of drama and frantic activity down here, because Coulthard was in here for 1.5 minutes having that nose cone change after we've established now that he was hit by Hakkinen. But we didn't know what had happened to Damon Hill. He had been hit, according to Patrick Head, by Katayama in the chicane, and he lost 3 3/4 minutes down here in the pits. They're fighting back now, but the Williams guys did a hell of a lot of work, and they didn't need both cars in the pits so early in the race.
But now Schumacher is right under the wing, and I forecasted he's going to make a challenge for the lead. He comes out behind Berger, who just moves across that bit. Schumacher tries to go around the outside, but into the chicane. He'll never get through there, and I noticed that there's gravel on the apex.
Guess what Schumacher tried to do there, having failed to get by on the inside when Berger closed the door, he then swept to the outside to try and get a wide exit to allow him to have a faster entry. And he's looking, I must say, he's looking really as if he's all over Schumacher, all over Berger. There's nothing Schumacher can do now on this next stadium section.
And we just heard from the pits that Jean Alesi retired because his engine went, so they'll be hoping it doesn't happen to Berger. So there are the leaders, and Mark Blundell, whose race did not last very long in the Tyrrell, is with Tony Jardine.
Bit of disappointment for you after such a great weekend in practice for Tyrrell. Tell us exactly what happened.
Well, I got off the line reasonably well. Me and Coulthard were quite close to each other, but Mika Hakkinen, he just came from nowhere down the inside. I think he was going too fast and too tight for the first corner, and basically came across the face of us, and I think Barrichello then hit me out the backside. I mean, As you say, it's a great shame. I'm sure the Tyrrell Yamaha would have had a good result, either one of us. But it's wiped out half the field. I mean, the race is not really a race now.
Are you going to be having a word with him, do you think, afterwards?
I already spoke to the guy when he came back across the track, and as far as he can see, he didn't do anything wrong by the looks of it. He said, I don't know what happened, so, you know.
What happened to your teammate's car? Katayama's out as well now, do you know?
Looks like he had a sticking throttle, which caused us a problem at Silverstone. I don't really know, but it sounds like a sticking throttle, which is a real shame, because the guys put a lot of work in this weekend, and, you know, we'll have to wait till the next race, but I'm sure we're going to be there.
Thank you very much, Mark. Hard luck.
And Schumacher's in the pits.
Yes, Michael Schumacher into the pits on lap 12. Now, why is he into the pits? If he's coming in for a tyre change, I would be very surprised for it to be this early, in which case he will certainly be having a two-stop race. And that is precisely why he is in. And this, of course, gives Gerhard Berger the opportunity to increase his lead. Now, is Michael Schumacher going to get out before Olivier Panis? And the answer is no, because the Ligier has gone through, and the totally unexpected has happened. Into the pits, incidentally, comes